What does it actually take to bring AI into a company the right way? Not just buying the tool, but solving the right problem with the right data and a real plan to back it up? Today's guest has spent decades doing exactly that at the highest levels: Fortune 500 and Fortune 100 companies, multi million dollar programs, teams all over the world. She's a senior transformation leader, AI strategist, and the founder of MindShift Dynamics LLC. She's also on a mission to democratize AI education because she believes the real divide in this world won't be about money. It'll be about who understands this technology and who doesn't. She is sharp, she is real, and she has the receipts to back it up. You're watching Talking Techish with Dr. DeMario. Hello, 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 and welcome back to another great episode of Talking Techish with myself, Dr. DeMario. And today I got a great guest. Told you all about her in the intro, but now we're just going to bring her on screen and let you hear what she's got going on. I want to welcome to the stage Miss Suzel Wyvill-Jones. How are you doing, Suzel?
I am doing fine. How are you, Dr. DeMario?
I'm doing just great. Thank you. Thank you again for jumping on with me. As we talk about this AI world, I love bringing people that's deep into this space to talk about everything, not just AI, but anything techish, whatever the case may be. But for those in the back, as I like to say, why don't you take a couple of minutes and tell us about yourself?
Well, I have, just to start, I'm from Brazil, so you're going to notice some little accent here, or maybe a lot of it. Uh, I have been in the United States for a while, worked in 500 and 100 Fortune companies, and now I have my own consulting business. And also work with the grassroots movement to promote AI education.
Oh man, that's lovely. But Suzelle, I actually do know you offline. So I'm going to say this right off the bat. You are a very humble person when it comes to this deep dive into the tech space. And for those of you that's watching, I know Suzelle knows what she's talking about. So, but that's very interesting. You was talking that you come from the background of working with Fortune 500 and 100 companies. What particular roles was it that in the AI space as well, or that was kind of centered around something else techish?
No, as before AI, came to our awareness. I know there's a lot of people that say the AI started in 1956 and has been around for a long time, but I was not exactly aware of it until about 6, 7 years ago. Um, so I started my career in the United States as a developer. Then I moved on into systems architecture, and I was traveling extensively. I have lived in Europe and of course South America, and I was working all over the place and coming home on weekends. So I decided to find a job in Atlanta where I live. And I have to be in so many planes. But at that particular time, for some reason, I decided that I needed to do something more managerial and so I went and found out everything about project management. I had a few interviews and amazingly got hired. Uh, and then with some practice, of course, I became, I guess, pretty good at what I was doing, and I became a director of PMO, and I have I, being on leadership and project management for the past 20 years. Um, but about 3 years ago, I got really interested in AI. I had had courses with that, but I decided to do a course with Northwestern University, which was a very interesting course. And after that, I did more courses and decided that I wanted to be a consultant in this area.
Oh wow.
So,
Just going back a little bit. Now, you said with the job role, you was traveling around a lot. You have stayed in a lot of different places. That for the average person, that sounds exciting. But obviously for you say you wanted to stay put a little bit more.
well, traveling a lot is exciting when you're doing that for fun. Um, when you are going from one place to another and living in hotels and your family is in another place, and it can be very daunting. And after doing that for a while, um, one hotel looks exactly like the other, and castles look like castles.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
yeah.
But other than that, it still sounds exciting, for us and to be traveling abroad. Coming from a techie person, it's like I'm probably one of those people that I would travel somewhere, but I still would be in front of a computer screen, so I wouldn't get the essence of the place that I'm in.
Mhm.
That would just be my downfall, most
Exactly.
definitely.
And that's another problem because you're working, right? So you're not really enjoying one of my most interesting experiences in my travels as a systems architect was when I worked at telecommunications company in the Dominican Republic. And the Dominicans, they start working at 7:30 in the morning. They work about 10 to 12-hour days, and then they go out to dinner and they go dancing. So it was a little too much for me.
Wow.
Every day?
You, you know what I thought you were going to say? I thought you was going to say something like, they work about 4 hours a day, kind of relax, whatever the case may
No.
be. I heard about in some other countries, that that the working hours of the day are very short. People like they take pride in having that I guess that personal time, human
Mhm.
interaction, and things of that nature. But you said just the opposite. You said about 12 hours a day.
Mhm. Yeah.
That reminds me of like Groundhog Day or something. The cycle just keeps repeating.
Well, they did work a lot. They had a lot of fun. I think it's a little bit of a mixed misconception that um, Europeans have a better working balance schedule.
Hmm.
Um, but even in Brazil, people tend to work a lot of hours. It's just that people work a lot and then they play a lot. And sometimes, you know, I just couldn't do both. That
I
was too much.
understand. But I really appreciate you sharing that. Excuse me. And it sounds like you had a vast interest in tech from the beginning, which is to jump into this world here, because I always say the little tedious thing, especially now we're going to jump into AI a little bit later, but especially before AI, this was a hair pulling out roles. Anytime that you was anything tech, it was in my opinion, it could be a stressful job scenario versus other jobs.
Yes. I don't know about jumping into tech, you know. Um, I grew up in Brazil. Education is very important. I wanted to be a historian and anthropologist, and my parents thought I had drunk something serious. And you're going to be what? And so they offered me a choice. I could be an engineer, I could be a doctor, or I could be a lawyer. I always consider myself an introvert, even though I am much better these days. Didn't want to be a lawyer. I don't do well with blood, so that eliminated the doctor part.
Yes, I
Or
understand that one.
I liked math, so I engineering had to be the choice. Um, so I don't know that I was born to be an engineer, but I enjoy it, and I can always do history and anthropology as a hobby. So
I hear that. Well, you know that those three choices actually worked out well for you, considering that you are still kind of continuing inside of that space somewhat. So I think you did good there. But let's talk about this a little bit. That you were talking about. You took some AI courses from, you say, from Northwest, I believe you said.
Northwestern University, the Kellogg Business School.
So this was roughly, you say, about 3-4 years ago.
Yes,
Wow, that's interesting to me because I don't think I realized that they were having any type of artificial intelligence courses, especially from universities, um, some years ago. In my mind, I think that universities are still trying to put their little curriculums together inside of this space so people can actually get a degree or whatever the case may be. So was this a course that really was or focusing on artificial intelligence, or was it kind of a byproduct per se back then?
it was more business related and how to apply artificial intelligence in solution. And Northwestern is pretty up there. It's not an Ivy League, but almost maybe. And so these courses tend to be quite expensive, and so it is not exactly. And I had help with tuition and all of that from my company at the time, but I don't know that they were available to people that were not in a situation where they had some help from their jobs, um, or just had their own money, I guess. But they tend to be um, a bit, how to say, it's not widely published, and you kind of need to have some help. Education like that, it's very, very expensive in United States.
I can only imagine. I
Yeah,
can imagine that.
yeah.
You know, it begs me to ask you the question in reference to what you learned back then in comparison to today. And I will pre warn you that I would jump backwards and go forward and stop in the middle all the time through this. So what you were learning back then in comparison to today, I guess my question is that information still relevant?
Yes, it is, because um, they taught how to apply the AI process, how to think about solutions. And this is something that I see we are having a great difficulty right now. Um, I have taken several AI courses, and many of them taught me how to code, and sometimes some of them vibe code, and and all of this is very good, but how do you, first of all, how do you put all of this into production? Uh, there are many limitations, and if, and and people have this illusion that I am coding this app, and then they don't have a way to put it out there. Um, so what Northwestern taught me was think about the business problem first, and I think this is what is missing in industry now. We are all buying the shining object, and oh, let's bring AI in, and we didn't think about what problem we're trying to solve. Is it a good fit for AI to be here? How we are gonna do that? Our systems are aligned to that. Do we have the data? Nobody's thinking about that. Just let's bring AI. Okay.
You know what's crazy? In for the cheat sheet, I would say Suzel and I have had conversations about AI
Mhm.
quite a few times in our different viewpoints on how the transformations are happening in today's climate. And it is always entertaining when I speak with someone who's having their own experience, especially dealing with clients and people who put this AI. And I always like to say that they put AI, like when we say AI, and I'm guilty of it, but I understand that when we say AI, we are putting in the bucket all of these different things and calling it one name.
Mhm.
And there's so many different variations of artificial intelligence. But to the viewing public, we just say AI without understanding. So when you run upon clients and they're like, "Yes, I need AI," and you start scratching your head like, okay, what does that mean? Are we talking about agents? Are we talking about some type of transformation behind? Are we talking about it's so many different robotics? Are we talking about what are we talking about here? So in your line of work, what are some of the I guess myths that you believe that people believe when they think about AI?
Well, it's very difficult to do AI without automation. Um, and what most people need is automation. And you can put an AI layer to that to provide them more information. For example, you can create an application that just simply automates um, your client relationship managers and whatever they are paying you, and or what their clients are paying to them, and and you can put an AI layer that will offer them more information about their client and how they can offer a better service to them. So, but people just they want AI, and usually what I found out what they're saying is they want a an instance, or you buy, your company buys chat gpt or claude or any of the large language models, and then I download all your documentation, and you can use that as a query system like we use Google, but it's a proprietary system that contains your information. And most of the time, when people say, "Oh, I'm deploying AI," they are just deploying an instance of a large language model, and using their own information faster because they can automate it now and ask questions instead of just going to the file cabinet and trying to find a bunch of paper from that. Um, and that's mostly what people are talking about AI. And and another thing is, um, most people are just working on the basis of copying and pasting prompts from a library, which doesn't teach anybody anything. And it doesn't bring curiosity or actually improve skills. So I would like to democratize artificial intelligence more, because I do believe that this is going to be the divide between the haves and have-nots in the future.
Oh, oh, now see, you done hit on something. You know, that's my jam right there. That's my, oh my goodness. And I'm going to come back to that because
Mhm.
the have and the have nots. I have been talking to a lot of people lately. I call it the Hunger Games. If anyone's seen that movie, y'all know I bring it up all the time. The Hunger Games, the have and the have nots. But I want to go back first. And when you were talking about the implementation per se of companies and people saying they're using AI, and then it is kind of funny to me because everybody's positioning AI as large language models now. So anytime you hear about transitioning or I'm using AI, they're really just prompting to get an output and calling it the full gamut of everything that they're doing. And it's always funny to me because so much so that I find myself now um, just kind of, I ain't gonna say dumbing down, but lack of a better word, I just come back down to the same level as myself when I'm talking with the client, simply because I know anything that's more, um, if it's too technical, they're not going to understand it, and it's going to cause a lot of problems for me. But if I keep it on the large language model side, everybody seems to be happy on that. And so from what you're saying to me is that this is not only just a small business problem or just regular people problem. This is a corporation problem as well.
I think corporations are worse.
Oh
If
wow.
you create a workflow for a startup, for example, oh, it's gonna be confusing. They're gonna use it a lot because they need the as much automation as, you know, process faster. But it's just going to, like, you are deploying something in the Wild West and leave it there, and they're gonna find a way to use it. Mid-sized companies are more organized, and they can um, actually put some governance on that, where we're going to use it, how we're going to use it, who is responsible, and so on. Enterprises, they don't even know where the data is, and and then they have a meeting to decide when the next meeting is going to be. And I um, I was at a conference about a month ago, and they were actually having competitions on how many prompts their employees were using every day. And this is a $10 billion company. It's a reasonable size. And I was just kind of, uh, your people are not learning anything.
A prompt competition to see how many prompts the employees utilize.
Yes.
That sounds so elementary to me. Like, what's the end goal in that from the company's perspective? Like, if you're too slow, do you get fired? Or, I'm trying to figure out. And I would like to
Yes.
think that they invest a lot of money and time into to how they're going to deploy something. So if you did all of that research and what it resulted in is you having a competition to see how many prompts a person could use. That sounds very elementary. I don't see what's the advancement of that. Like,
There isn't it.
I don't,
It is
but
is the creation of a society of robots with that are not learning anything, and this is one of the reasons that I write columns at Substack and just to teach people basic things about AI. But the most basic thing for me is just be curious. The
mm-hmm.
machine is not going to bite you. Um, I was talking to an 18-year-old a few months ago, and he asked me, um, and this is a student of one of the big universities up north, and he said, "I would love to use AI, and but I don't know how to do that." And I said, "Just to start." And he said, "But how do I start?" I said, "Ask it. How do I use it? How do I use, this tool? How do I use you or whatever?" And he said, with a lot of shock, actually. It was kind of funny. "Can I do that?" I said, "Of course you can. Just ask it. And it will tell you exactly how you should interact with that." And he said, "This is such a good idea." It's very simple. So why these people in this particular company that I don't remember the name, it was in a panel in a conference. Um, just tell people, start using it. Ask questions and see what results you're getting. And then you can teach people good prompting style and give them some ideas on how to use that more efficiently. But nobody's doing that. And this is where we go back into the haves and the have nots. It's not being democratized. And and people are told that they need to know how to use it, but they are just taught, you know,
just, just the outer line basics. It-
yeah.
it's crazy. You mentioned it twice now, so we got to go there. I'm always thinking probably a little bit too much. I realize I think too much on the future of as I like to say, the end goal. And I was just talking about this earlier with someone, and we were talking about the race. Especially with the United States, the race that we are having with China or whatever the case may be in the AI space. And I always ask the question, well, what is the goal? Like, if you're racing, there's a finish line, and you say we won. But with artificial intelligence and on all the emerging technologies, I don't think there's a spot that you can pick in the sand to say we won, unless they know something that I don't know. I realize that they might have some more intelligence into the scenario than I know. But for us, the people, there's a group of people that's advancing, super users, medium users, just users, period. Then there's another subset of people are just so afraid or have their own biases against this, whether it's spiritually, whether it's just intellect, whatever the case may be. And because AI keeps pushing and and things, and then those people are not catching up, I do believe that we're going to see in real time a strong divide between the haves and the have-nots. I don't see any other way that we can even stop this from happening.
No, probably not. Um, the same way we could not stop literacy and make it and open that to everybody on the planet, because here we are in the 21st century and there's a lot of people that still can't read. So we are just making it a little more difficult for them. Um, but now we are leaving the second layer behind, and AI eventually will substitute some jobs. And I am not making this up; it's documented. Um, because and you will make people, not as many people as necessary, because you can um, do a lot of repetitive tasks using AI. But what I would like to propose is that humans now can be used to be humans. Let the machine do the repetitive things, and uh, and let's use that to help us with our work, be kinder to each other, and help us with cures that were not possible before. You know, I was talking to a company in California about they built a model just to detect cancer in blood cells using a particular product that light up the blood cells, whatever the cancer is. And in one blood cell, we have our genome, right? So we have cells from genes from the entire body, cells from our entire body. So it lights up whatever part of that particular blood cell where the cancer is, and you can relate it back to the organ connected to that particular thing, the cells, the little genes that are lighting up. They have very special names. I'm not a doctor, so I don't have all the nomenclature here to kind of give to you. But all of this, we can in a few years cure cancer a lot easier now, because you just go take a blood test, and they can identify it very easily, and you can start your treatment. So let's use this technology for that. Um, and let's use humans to be humans, and let's have a conversation in terms of is AI taking care of our colors, you know, our races, and um, is are we being is it democratized? Is it uh, are we not creating biases? Because data is not the AI that's creating the bias. It's the data that we have been collecting for uh, 50, 60 years.
Oh, yes.
Let's use it, these humans, to correct the data that we might not have, so we can perfect the systems. There's a lot of work to do on this planet, and I don't think anybody should be afraid of being without work or ability to make a living, as long as we all are receiving the knowledge and understanding that we have to have about this big new thing that AI is coming, that bringing to us.
You know what? You said a mouthful there. It's so much. And I have my new motto for I guess the rest of the year, train the human, deploy the AI.
Mm-hmm.
Because, a lot of times, my wife and I, we sit around and we watch the news broadcasts, and we watch, different podcasts about a lot of different stats, and seem like there's just every time we turn on now, it's not a few, it's thousands of job loss happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then I always say that the news, then they'll say because of AI, and they put a period behind the word AI. And I always hate that. I hate it so much because I know it's not AI. That's giving
Uh-huh.
people this false narrative that it's like a robot coming into the office taking over these jobs. No, it's more so people who utilize AI tools. They're demanding more money, so the budget cuts got to come. I got to get rid of 100 people so I can pay this one person, and things of this nature. But at the same time, um even with the transformation into artificial intelligence, I have no idea why corporations, especially major corporations, millions and billions of dollars, why they didn't see or don't see that you could train all of your employees on how to utilize these tools proficiently, and how much more productive your company as a whole will be, instead of putting the narrative differently, and focusing on the tool that you think will create more productivity. You could actually train the people, and you're 10x. And I'll say this right quick, Suzel. And as you know, as a business owner, I get it. I get it. If the tool costs you this much and you was paying the people this much, I get it. But when you think about it long term, we can't just keep releasing people and killing off job roles to allow the tool, because the tool can do the thing. Because at the end of the day, where do all the people go? My wife and I was having a great conversation about this one night. It was like, where do all the people go? Since AI can do these jobs, and we don't need Tom no more, and we get rid of Tom and Sally and all of these people. And now that, if you multiply that across different industries, now Tom and Sally, they can't even find a job in that field anymore. What does that look like 5 to 10 years from now?
We have been here before, right? Industrial revolution and cars and a lot of we will create other jobs. I don't believe that AI is going to eliminate it will eliminate some jobs now. We are gonna have a tough couple years. I don't think it's AI that is causing all these job losses. I think this is a
Mm-hmm.
big excuse from you know people that are being paid billions of dollars to lay people off. Uh, some of it might be AI, but they haven't been using AI that much because their data is so, in enterprises, it's not organized yet. But I think, and I am not trying to get spiritual here, but I think AI, if we really look into the concept, the concept of AI is the possibility, right? It is a probabilistic system that looks into which is the next word should be, or what's the result should be. If we look into quantum mechanics, quantum physics, quantum computing, what allows us to be faster is the fact that we are not looking at zeros and ones anymore only. We are looking at the possibility of a zero and one and another zero and one together. So maybe humans should look at what we can do together. Maybe we can be a lot faster and much better in mathematics, showing that to us. So maybe AI is here to teach us a lesson as how to work better, because together maybe we are a better possibility.
Oh, you just hit on something there. You know, I ain't gonna go down in the rabbit hole with that one today with you, but we're gonna have to come back for a part two. That is a statement. Maybe AI is here to teach us a lesson.
Mhm.
That's kind of deep.
It can be.
That
It could be if we were to look into that as working together as a possibility.
I accept that and I understand. Because I can tell you, for as I'm concerned, just the aspect of understanding the technology from one side and then being, lack of a better word, concerned about the future on the other side, it has burnt up a passion in me to really want people to, like you said earlier, just try, just understand. Just, I'm not asking you to be a scholar. Just check it out. You don't even have to have any type of technical background. Just
Mhm.
talk. That's it's a natural language. Just speak or type or whatever you want, and start forming that thing. And I share this with you right quick. It's crazy that today, because we continuously work with tools. People like you and I, we continuously get amazed by some of the things these tools can do. And I utilize AI a lot to help me technically. I don't really go interpersonal type of scenario, but today I was doing something and then I wanted to beef up my social media and things of that nature, but it's like a drag. I hate thinking of posts and all this stuff. So I just started going back and forth with, as my motto, I call him Ethan. And long story short, Ethan started creating postings, scheduling it for me, itemize it, asking me about my CTAs, my call to actions, um, kind of correcting me like, oh, you were posting, but it really didn't have any value, wouldn't you? And I'm sitting here tripping. I pulled up my phone and I just started recording my screens because all of this stuff was working, and I felt like a little student. And I'm sitting here like I'm still blown away. Like this is like this is simple. This is simple stuff. But yet, just imagine when I'm usually setting up for my social media and things of that nature. I usually set aside a day to do that, because by the time you form the post, think about what you want to say, all this stuff. That's you know you're usually tired after all that. You've been thinking too much, but it just took all of that off of me, because it knows about all my books and social media stuff. Everything's inside my email, so it knows everything that it should know about anything I would share publicly like that. And so I'm just amazed at that. And I just want to show people even that simple scenario. I say, man, you know what movies you can catch up on if you utilize AI the proper way. And but it's so amazing to me. But I want to kind of just shift now and talk more about your company and what you offer. And especially you talk about, you put out a lot of white papers, and you write for like these different sites and everything. Could you talk more about things that you offer to the public, and you know to help them get along on this journey?
Yes, I have a series on Substack that is just little lessons. And I have two characters, Dr. Percy and Zara. And Dr. Percy is very arrogant. I needed to make a man that's arrogant. It's just and Zara is very wise, of course. She's a female. Um, and but it's just actually for people to laugh and and learn simple things from
Hmm.
AI, um, like. one of the stories, Dr. Percy asked his AI system to eliminate all the customers' problems and his issues with customers.
Mm-hmm.
And the, the, the tool, the model went and deleted all the customers, you know, the database and came back and it's all clean. And this is to show people, after you start prompting, you need to understand what you want before you go around asking information, because the AI did eliminate his problems with customers because there were no customers left. So little stories like that, and they're silly, and but so people can start thinking about it, because I would like, as I said, people to be more curious. My other papers are a lot more serious. It deals with governance and bias and problems in medicine, and how we are evaluating um, diagnosis through AI. Are we having I am Latina. Do they have enough Latinos in this database? Do we have the same kinds of cancers that white people have and black people have, and are we represented? So I write, and other biases in banking, for example. There are a lot of people that cannot get loans, for example, for housing or for their businesses because of different issues. Uh, are we creating more biases? Because AI will just show it. It is not creating the issue, it's showing the issue. Um, and a lot of focus in industry, as I said, everybody wants the shining tool, but they don't even know what problem they are trying to resolve. 86% of AI projects are failing in big companies. And the reason for that is because people don't understand that now they have to manage something in a very different way. The first day when you deploy an AI product, this is the first day of your project. The development, was not important. And if you don't look at your data constantly, in about 60 days, your tool is going to be um, useless, but you don't know it because before our software systems broke. Now it just gives you the wrong data.
Mm.
It's data drift. So you are just, and then people are making decisions based on data that is incorrect, or and that is
That,
very serious. And I would
that
say all over the industry. Can you imagine doctors doing that, banks, hospitals, the government? Can you imagine this
no, that's
and making decisions of a war, or based on data that has drifted, that it is not accurate anymore? That is a very serious issue.
oh my goodness, that is. We could do a whole talk just on that alone.
Yeah,
That is. As soon as you said it, I immediately got like little chills. Like, ooh,
yeah,
didn't think about it from that perspective. Because you're right. Before, when something didn't work, it just didn't work.
yeah,
It didn't try to overcorrect working per se for itself. And we already have heard all the stories about AI trying to please and different things and all of that. Yes. Oh my goodness.
And
That's crazy.
exactly, the systems are not taught to say, I don't know. So you will say something that you want to hear. So,
That is crazy. That could be a train wreck. That could be a train wreck. Well, but Suzel, not wanting to hold you long, it has been such a pleasure you taking some time out to speak with me on this. But before we go, why don't you tell the people where you can be reached and how to reach you and anything else after that?
oh, I can be reached on LinkedIn. I'm very um, accessible there. I am very active. And my company is called MindShift Dynamics, and it's www.mindshiftdynamics.net. And again, my name is Suzel. I am the only one on LinkedIn. It's very easy to find.
That's a unique thing. The only
Yeah.
one on LinkedIn. And also, before we go, you have just in case for the people that's in time, you have a class coming up on the 16th. Is it?
On the 16th, I am doing a class at maven.com, and it's AI for smart professionals. I am actually teaching people how to be curious about AI. So I'm
Mm,
going to teach them how to create content, to create the graphics, better pictures, to create a digital twin. So, like you said, I also have a digital twin that can write for me, and I want to write about this now. It sounds exactly like me, and these things are very simple to do. People
hmm.
just need some guidance,
I hear you.
and it
I
should
hear
be a
you.
3 hour class, and I'd love to have everybody there.
Well, y'all heard it here first, and if she do a repeat, we'll make sure to share that information as well. Well, everybody, it's been great. I'm glad you hung in there with us. We dropped some things that you might need to think about. As you see that the narrative is still the same. Just take a chance. Type a little bit. You might be amazed at what comes out of this. You might become a scholar, a rock star. Next thing you know, you're talking with Suzel and I about your advancements in AI, and we would love that because that's all we're here for. So this has been another great episode of Talking Techish with Dr. DeMario, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you so
DeMario.
much.